Do we have a lot of background noise right now?
Uh, Not too bad.
Okay, because the only way I can be on here is I'm out to eat with my mom right now, and we have we're at a restaurant, right? So I can't step out of my car because I'll lose Wi-Fi.
Okay.
So
Yeah. So, yeah, figured we should go ahead and let everybody know, just a little bit about what your story is.
okay, yeah, absolutely, man. Well, I first of all, I appreciate you asking me to come on here, and I appreciate the invitation. And I always love when I get a chance to share, with ZG Nation, and love to hopefully inspire some people, but share my story with you and kind of let you know what's happened and what's possible. But I took a look at Zija for the first time at the age of 23. At that time, I was a full-time student at the local university here in Bowling Green, Kentucky, where I live. And I was also, on top of that, I was working three jobs. My primary job was in the restaurant industry, and working about 80 hours a week, and that's okay. I've never been scared to work hard. I've never been scared to put in my time. But the problem for me is that even though I was working really hard and putting in a lot of time, I was really just kind of living paycheck to paycheck. I was just kind of spinning my wheels financially, like a lot of people do, and just living for the weekend, and just getting by, and fair to Midland, and that kind of mentality. I just knew that I knew that I was built for something bigger and better, and I wanted something more out of life. I knew that there are seeds of greatness in all of us, and I knew that I'm God's highest form of creation. And I knew that I just had to capitalize on it, and I had to cultivate those seeds. I just didn't have a vehicle or a way to do it. And so I was approached one night actually at the restaurant where I was working. I met a guy named Kevin, and Kevin, he found out that I was frustrated, and so he shared this opportunity with me, and he did it in a very systematic, a very simple and duplicatable way, because he all he did was he just piqued my interest, and he said, "Man, I've got something you might want to take a look at," and I said, "Yeah, what is it?" So he said, "Man, I'm on a date with my wife, but I'll shoot you a link to a couple videos. Take a look at it tonight, and we'll talk tomorrow." And we did just that. He got my questions answered. He put me on the phone with a guy named Chris. Chris answered my questions. Chris told me there was a system that he would help me. And so we got started. It took me about 6 months doing this part-time to start making more money part-time with this business than I was full-time in my job. But, people hear that and they're like, oh, that's cool. But did it take some effort? Yeah. I mean, was it tough sometimes? Absolutely. It's a business. I was doing it part time, but that doesn't mean that I was treating it like a hobby. I was maybe getting out of my comfort zone. I was doing some things that I wasn't used to. I had to learn. I had to grow. I had to get better. And but in 6 months, it started to pay off, um, and that's consistent. Every day. A little, not 40 hours a week, but doing something consistently every day to grow and to get better. Waking up in the morning thinking about my business. Going to bed at night thinking about my business. And so fast forward to 18 months, still doing that consistently every single day, doing something. In 18 months, we were knocking down six figures. And, for me, that was more money than I was used to making. Quite honestly, more money than I ever thought I would make before I saw network marketing. And so I made the decision at age 24 to just completely walk away from corporate America, and I haven't looked back since. And so I'm 28 now, so I haven't had a job in the last 4 years because of the income from this business. And that's really the blessing is not the money. It's the fact that we've just been able to have some freedom, and just been able to spend all day with the people we care about instead of sucking up to a boss begging for a paycheck for the rest of our lives. And so that's been the biggest blessing. There's so many serendipities. There's so many blessings that have come to us from this business. Meeting people like Bobby, meeting all the people that are a part of this organization. That's a blessing. But there are so many. There's too many to name. But my favorite thing is the time freedom and just the ability to be able to travel and use our resources to invest in causes that we care about. And so anyway, that's my story. There's a lot more drama in the details, but for time's sake, I'll keep it short. So, what other questions you got, Bobby? And we'll knock out a few. I've got a few minutes here. I don't want to take all day, and I got to get back to lunch with my mom. But I'm definitely honored to be on here with you guys, and love to knock out a few questions.
All right. One question I have is, how do you approach warm market people?
Well, first of all, I would say get your mind right. uh, Understand what you have, right? If I'll give you maybe an analogy. Think about this. When you have something good, you share it with people, at least the people that you care about, right? You may not share it with everybody, but you at least share it with your closest friends, your closest family, the people that you really do care about. If you knew that you if you know that you know that you know that you've got a product that's impacting people that every single human being on planet Earth needs to consume, if you know that you know that you know that you have an opportunity to set the captives free, to go out and show people a better way with an opportunity, why in the world would you not share that with your warm market? Sometimes people get in this business and they say, Brandon, but do I have to talk to my friends and family? I'm like, no, just let them be broke and sick for the rest of their lives, and then go talk to complete strangers and help them. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Of course, you want to talk to your friends and family if you really believe what you have is legit, right? And I did. I saw the value in the most nutrient-rich plant ever discovered. I said, that's a no-brainer. I want everybody I care about consuming that. I saw the value in the opportunity. I knew that people were hurting financially, and so I knew I wanted to share that, at least give them the opportunity, right, with the people I cared about. So first of all, get your mind right. Know what you have. You are not bugging people. You are not chasing. I hear that term a lot. You don't have to chase your friends and family. Guys, we are not chasing people. Um, Now, if this were something silly, if it were pots and pans or kitchen knives or, vacuum cleaners or something silly, your mama's makeup, maybe you would feel like you're chasing people. But this is the most nutrient-rich plant ever discovered, right? So we have something everyone needs. They need us. We don't need them, right? So get your mind right, posture up, and it's really less about what you say. It's more about who you're being as you say it, if that makes sense. So that's why I say get your mind right. You can say, I mean, it really doesn't matter what you say. I will say the less you say, the better, right? Let the tools do the talking, because people don't want to feel like they're being sold. They want to feel like you genuinely care about them, but it's got to be their idea. So they need to take a look at a tool. They need to see it third party, and then you can help them get their questions answered. But really, the main thing that you need to be able to do is you need to be able to look for your warm market. I'm talking about your close friends and family. You need to be able to look them in the eye and say, look, I'm I'm going to the top, with or without you. I love you. I care about you. But I'm taking this thing to the stinking top. And if you don't join me, you might look back in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now, and it might be one of the biggest regrets that you ever make. And you need to be able to look people in the eye and say that. And I'm talking about your warm market. So I can give you, a formula of exactly how I prospect people. I can give you, I could give you the exact words that I say, but none of that really matters. All that matters is that people are looking for someone that they feel like can lead them to where they want to go, whether that's with their health or their finances. People are looking for leaders. They're looking to be led. And, sometimes you just have to be able to step up and say, look, in a nice way. I'm not saying be rude. Don't mistake what I'm saying. But be confident. Know what you have and say, look, this is not up for discussion. It's not up for debate. Um, it works. The product works. The business works. And I'm taking it to the stinking top. And you need to be a part of it because I care about you. So that's the mentality. That's the psychology behind it. But in terms of, and this might answer another question you have, so we can kind of kill two birds with one stone. In terms of how do I prospect people, it's the same no matter who I'm talking to. My formula, if you will, or the what runs through my mind when I'm prospecting someone is and this comes from a conversation I had with Chris Estes. When I first got started, I said, Chris, what do I say to people? And Chris said, I don't care what you say. He said, you know what? They don't care either. He's like, they're not waiting on you to prospect them. They're not like expecting you to come talk to them about Zija, right? So he said, man, it doesn't really matter what you say. Just edify them. Just build people up, make them feel good. And that was his one-step formula. He said, I don't care what you say. Just build people up, compliment people. genuine compliment, right? It can't be like a fake compliment. Be genuine. Find something to genuinely say nice about people, and that's a good practice anyway, right? Whether we're building ZJ or not, it's better to make people feel good than feel bad. There's too many critics and naysayers out there. We don't need to be one of them. We need to just build people up and make that a habit, make it a practice, whether we're building ZJ or not. So that was Chris's advice. Over the years, I started implementing that. I just started trying to be a genuinely, better person, just compliment people and just edify and build people up, be in the construction business, not the destruction business. And that started serving me very well. It got me in conversations. It made people, Chris used to tell me, he said, Brandon, I don't care what you say to them. If you just spend the majority of the conversation building them up, they're going to take a look, right? If you get good enough at making other people feel good enough, they're going to take a look. They're going to feel obligated to because they like you. And people do business with people they like and trust, period. You can have a great product, great comp plan, great infrastructure. None of it matters if they don't like you and they don't trust you. They're not going to join you if they don't like you and trust you. So the majority of my conversation is spent just building the other person up and edifying them. But over the years, I started noticing that as I added a couple of other things to the formula, I started seeing great results. And the other two things are this. So the first one is edify. The second is ask questions. So I'm talking to somebody, I'm making sure, whether it's warm market, cold market, no matter what it is, I'm going to make sure that they feel better after talking to me than they did before they started talking to me, right? And that's my goal. And the second thing is I ask questions. The reason I ask questions is because I'm gathering intel. I'm finding out how their life is going. I'm taking a genuine interest in their life. And that's sort of an indirect way of edifying people too, just listening, right? I listen, I ask questions. And I don't ask questions and listen with the intent of answering their questions. See, most people don't even respond. They don't listen to when somebody else is talking because they're thinking about the next thing they're going to say. I just genuinely try to listen, and I try to ask good questions. And the third thing is I share stories. So after I've gathered intel, maybe I find out the person is if it's a cold market person, I don't know them that well. Maybe I just find out they're in real estate. So I might share a quick story. I might say, man, I've got some business partners that are just like you. They're in real estate. They love it. And they also have partnered with some other guys, and they're knocking it out of the park in another business that they're doing. It's pretty incredible what they've been able to accomplish. And I might just stop there, and then I might ask another question, right? So I'm kind of playing ping pong or tennis or whatever you want to call it, just going back and forth. But I'm always putting it back on them, finding a way to edify them and ask more questions. And then I'll drop some little stories in there to create commonality. So I edify people to build them up. I ask questions and listen to gather intel. I share stories to create commonality, because at the end of the day, people are asking two questions when they take a look at Zija or when they take a look at a new church or a new career. Doesn't matter what it is. They're asking themselves two questions subconsciously. They're saying, is it a good idea, and can I do it? The third question, after they agree that, yeah, it's a good idea, and yes, they can do it, the third question, and this is one of the most important questions they're asking themselves, is, will you help me? So if we can show them that it's a good idea, and we can show them that, yes, they can do it because the system is simple, we can answer those two questions in the process, in the way that we approach people, in the way that we prospect people. Because they're saying, yeah, it's a good idea. It's moringa. It's the most nutrient-rich plant I've discovered. Or it's a mayo. They're the only clinical grade oils on the planet, cleanest workout supplements on the planet with drip sticks, right? From a business standpoint, yeah, it's a good idea. Ken Brailsford, he's done this twice before. He's the only person that's ever done that in the history of network marketing. He's an icon. He's the Michael Jordan or the Tiger Woods or the Oprah Winfrey or whatever of his respective industry, network marketing. He's proven, he's documented. And so it's easy for us to answer, yes, is it a good idea? Most people can agree that it's a good idea. The second question people ask is a little harder for us to answer sometimes because of the way that we prospect people. Some of us are out there just vomit comment. We're telling them everything. And they feel like, they're thinking, man, of course Bobby can do this, man, because he's a great salesman or he's a great talker. So they create this excuse in their head, and they're thinking, I can't do what Bobby's doing because he's talking so much. I don't like to talk, or I'm not good at talking. And so what our job is to show them through the process. See, the process is more important than the content. they're going to learn the content no matter what, whether they learn it from you or whether they learn it from a video or a conference call or whatever. Our goal is to not just get them to the content, but get it to them in a way that they can see themselves doing in the future with other people, right? So the process is more important than the content. So the second question, can I do it? We show them that they can do it by the way that we prospect them. And that's by piquing interest, passing them to a tool, plugging them into a call, doing as little talking as possible, right? I get people in front of the information and into multiple exposures and follow-ups, and really I haven't done any talking. I've just done listening. I've asked questions. I've thrown in some compliments. I've asked questions, gathered information, and then I've just shared a couple of quick stories. But as far as the actual peaking, I'm saying, hey, I got something I want you to take a look at. It'd be worth your time. That's it. You know, I don't say Zija. I don't say network marketing. I don't say Ken Brailsford. I don't say Moringa. I don't say any of that stuff unless I just have to find a way to get in there. But typically I don't. So I can sum up our business in 2 phrases. Here's what we do. We get people in front of the information, doing as little talking as possible, right? And then we just get them on the phone or in front of someone other than ourselves. That is it. It doesn't get much simpler than that. And who can do that? Anybody. So it helps us answer that second question that your prospect is asking subconsciously. Whether they realize it or not, they're thinking, can I do what Brandon is doing to me right now, right? And we want them to be able to answer yes to that. At the end of the process, they're going to be able to say, Brandon really didn't do anything. All he did was send me to that video, and then he got me on the phone with that Greg Bibb guy. Greg answered all my questions. Greg did all the talking. I can do what Brandon did. So hopefully that makes sense. I know that's a lot more probably than you wanted me to go into, but it's a lot more in depth. But maybe let's knock out a couple more quick questions, and I'm going to hop back over here to my mom.
No, that was perfect, Brandon. And it's really the only other question I really had was maybe overcoming objection. How you go about doing that? Because I know there's a lot of people that will get told no, and then they go run and hide in the corner because they think, oh, I can't do this. How do you deal with that issue?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. I mean, I could speak for a very, very long time on this topic, and I'm going to start once again just because I like starting this way by talking about the mentality, right? So I want to challenge everybody to not have an emotional outcome, an emotional attachment to the outcome. Excuse me, I just had a bunch of pizza. So don't have an emotional attachment, guys, and it's difficult in the beginning, I know, because you're thinking, man, I just want to enroll my friend. I just want anybody that can fog up a mirror. I want them on my team, and I understand that because I've been there. I know what it feels like. But I'm just telling you, if you become a professional sorter, and just understand that nobody's telling you no, they're only saying not yet. I never ever hear no. No one tells me no. If somebody says no, I just hear not yet, and I know that they're going to be in my business, whether it's a week from now, a year from now, or 10 years from now. They are in my funnel forever. I call it the funnel of death, because the only way out is you join Zija or you die. That's it, Seriously. I mean, you're not getting out of my funnel because I know what I have, and that goes back to knowing what you have. It goes back to your mentality. And so just don't have an emotional attachment. They're not saying no to you. They're saying no to the opportunity, and they really don't even know what they're saying no to. And so just understand there's never a no. There's just a not yet, and that's okay. So we are sorting the people that are ready now from the people that are not ready yet. And you're going to have a lot more that are not ready yet than are ready right now. It's our job to go through the numbers and find the people that are ready now. And just understand that dogs do not chase parked cars. So if you can have this mentality and you can get it early in your business, just understand that the fact that you're moving fast, it's going to make even those people that said no, they might sit on the sidelines for a couple weeks, a couple months, a couple years. But the fact that you didn't sit there and hound them and beg them to get in your business and try to say something fancy and convince them, the fact that you didn't do that, it's going to make it a lot more attractive to them, and it's going to make them a lot more likely to take a look at what you're doing because they're thinking, man, Bobby doesn't need me. He really is going to take this thing to the top. If I'm Bobby's prospect and he approaches me and he says, hey man, I got something I want you to take a look at. And I say, man, timing's not good. I really don't want to take a look at it right now. If Bobby sits there and begs me and tries to convince me, I'm gonna be like, dude, get the heck out of here. I'm not hearing it, right? The timing's not right. But if instead Bobby says, okay, cool, man, see ya, I'm gonna be like, well, man, he must not really care if I join this thing. It must be a bigger deal than I thought. So dogs don't chase parked cars; they chase cars that are moving, right? See, I used to sit outside of front of people's front doors, and in a little Zija green tent, and when they walk out of work to go to work in the morning, I'd pop out of my tent, unzip it, and say, "You ready yet?" I was popping out of bushes and asking people to get started, and it's just not happening, guys. People want what they can't have. Remember that. Remember the psychology in that. So nowadays, if somebody tells me no, Chris used to say, "Tell me no and watch me go," right? I'm leaving your butt behind, right? If you tell me no, see ya, right? Because I know the psychology behind that. I know what that does to people, and it's hard to do in the beginning. But if you can convince yourself to do this early on, I promise you it'll serve you well. Be a sorter. Don't be a salesman. Be a sorter. Just sort the people that are ready now, which are going to be few and far between. It's going to be a lot less people from the people that are not ready yet. Okay. And you just got to understand that it's never no, it's always not yet. But when I get objections, so that's the mentality. When I do get objections, and I do, I've been in the business 5 years. I've been in network marketing 10 years. I've been, I'm a triple diamond. I still get rejected every single day. I get told no. People tell me no. Okay, and it's okay because I don't hear no. What do I hear? I hear not yet. Because I know they'll be in my business. Scott Harris told me no for 3 years. Guess what he is now? A diamond. Why? Because I knew, and I told him one day. I looked him in the eye, and I said, Scott, I don't know if it's today, next month, next year, or 10 years from now, but you will be in Zija and you will be a diamond. And guess what? He is. Right? So anyway, I do have a little formula for it's more of a mentality also, but just a little formula for how to overcome objections. It's just repeat what they say. First of all, agree with people. Most people, they get offended or they take offense to when somebody offers an objection. And just understand that most people, when they're offering an objection, it's really, I never buy their story, right? It's most people, when they're offering an objection to you or an obstacle, it's not legit. Like, they're either just trying to sound intelligent, or they are trying to they're just trying to skirt the issue. Like, they don't want to take time to look at it, so they'll just make something up, the first thing that comes in their head. And it's usually, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time, or it's a pyramid scheme, or I don't know anybody, or whatever. And I never buy their story. I don't care what they say, right? Because I'm an obstacle remover. I'm going to find a way to overcome it. But instead of getting offended, so here's the challenge in mindset. And it's hard to do in the beginning. I know it is, because you're just looking to get your first 2, right? You're like, I got to get 2. And that's okay. I've been there. But if you can just make yourself, discipline yourself to think this way in the beginning, it'll serve you well. It'll help you avoid some of the, roadblocks that I have. So don't get offended. Instead, just agree with them. They say it's a pyramid scheme. I say, I know what you mean. I felt the same way. I kind of thought that too when I first took a look at it. Or if you didn't think that, you say, I know what you mean. I've shared this with a few people, and they've felt the same way. And what that does is that lowers their guard, right? It allows them to be on the same playing field, the same level with you, right? And you're not just communicating now, you're connecting with them, okay? And so everybody communicates, but few connect, is what John Maxwell taught us. So connect with people and say, look, I know how you feel. I felt the same way. Here's what I found. So that's an old tactic or an old concept called feel, felt, found. I know how you feel. I felt the same way, or I know some people that felt the same way, but here's what I found, right? And so just agree with people. Don't get offensive. Instead, connect with them and say, hey, I agree with you. You're right. I can see where you're coming from. Like those kind of phrases, right? I know how you feel. Yeah, that kind of makes sense, But here's what I found. And so offer them a solution or a way to overcome that obstacle in their mind. And another good way to go about this is this. Just repeat what they say in the form of a question, right? So they say, they say I don't have enough money, and this is something I learned from Chris. They say I don't have enough money. I say, oh, you don't have enough money? And then I'm silent. Next person that talks loses. right? So they say, I don't have enough money. I say, oh, you don't have enough money? And I'm just silent. And that awkward silence, right? People don't like the silence. They're going to say something. They're going to dive into their objection a little bit more, and they're going to really get to the heart of it and tell you what they mean. And so just try that. I challenge you, try that and see how it goes next time you have an obstacle. But feel, felt, found is timeless. That's what I typically do. Hey, I know how you feel. I felt the same way. Here's what I found. If somebody says, it's a pyramid scheme. Here's another way to overcome an objection. It's a pyramid scheme. Well, I know how you feel. I felt the same way at one point in my life as I first took a look at this. But here's what I found. Pyramid schemes are illegal. Those are illegal in all 50 states. The guy that started this thing, he's already done this twice before. He's a billionaire. We have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. You can throw out some facts, but really what I say is, so what you're telling me is, so that's what's keeping you from really taking a serious look. You think it's a pyramid scheme? So what you're telling me is, Bobby, if I could show you a way that this is not, in fact, a pyramid scheme, then you're telling me you would take a pretty serious look, right, Bobby? And I nod my head and like this. I nod my head and just make an assumption, right? So you're telling me, Bobby, that if this were not a pyramid scheme, and I could show you that it's not, that you would take a serious, honest look at it. Right, Bobby? I'm doing that. And, of course, they're going to say, yeah, of course. So that's another way to overcome objections. So I don't want to dive in too much deeper. We'll be here all day. But, Bobby, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate the invite. I'd love to hop on another sometime, and we can pick one topic and dive in deeper, or we can do multiple questions like this. But, man, anything I can do for you, I'll tell you this, for anybody that's going to end up watching this later on, I hope everybody knows the caliber of person they're attached to with Bobby Bland. And it's fun to see your growth, man, in such a short amount of time, and where you've come from to where you're at now, your mentality. Man, we need more young people that are ready to rise up and be a stinking champion and quit. We need more young people that will do what our country was founded on, which is free enterprise. We need more young freedom fighters. We need more people that are not content to sit in a cubicle or sit on a job site, sucking up to a boss, farming their wife out to some other guy, right? Some other employer. We need people that are willing to fight for that type of freedom, and I'm just so thankful for you, Bobby, that you're willing to do that. So, man, I'm if they were selling stock in Bobby Bland, I'd buy 1,000 shares. So. I appreciate you, man, for everything you do for ZJ Nation. I'm looking forward to seeing you walk across stage as a diamond here real soon. And let me know if I can do anything for you or your group.
All right, Brandon. I appreciate everything you've done for us, man. And, you've been a real impact in my life and just my organization and everybody that has actually had a chance to meet. But you've come through, working in a restaurant to now, six-figure earner, changing lives. That right there is really the most important story about me, and it inspires me every day.
Thanks, my friend.
I appreciate it, Brandon.
Yes, sir. All right. See you guys.
See ya.